What's poppin', yo? Welcome back to another YouTube video, and today I have found something which I haven't really seen before in movies. It is basically a direct fucking copy movie. There is very little difference from the original to this one. Now, I'm not saying people can't have the same ideas, because great minds do think alike, but what I am saying is beat for beat, story setup for story setup, payoff for payoff of this movie is identical to the one which I watched a couple of months ago. So I do love myself a good horror movie. I love myself a good zombie movie. I've started watching The Walking Dead. I have watched a couple of other horror zombie movies, and now I decided to watch this one, which is called Final Days, and you can watch it on Amazon, wherever its sister movie, the one which came out first, and the better one of the two, in my opinion, is on Netflix. So Final Days movie isn't actually called Final Days. For whatever reason, on Google it is under a different name. So there is a little bit of confusion there. But it has a 5.1 out of 10 on IMDb, a 3.8 out of 5 on Amazon, and a 5.1 out of 10 on Prime. You can watch this on Amazon Prime, YouTube, Google Play, and Sky Store. When Aiden loses hope of surviving a zombie outbreak, his outlook changes when he comes across Eva, another survivor, and decides to fight back with a renounced sense of hope. So, how the story starts off is exactly the same as the other one that we spoke about. So, he wakes up in his apartment, zombie outbreak starts, he turns on the TV, damn, guess what? Zombies. Someone breaks into his house who has been infected. He kicks them out with a little bit of a tussle. He then has enough water to survive but not enough food, so he starts collecting rainwater and starts rationing out food. He's been trying to call his mother, dad, and also sister. And when he eventually gets signal, he finds a fuck ton of voicemails about them all hiding out in an office building and then getting eaten. Is this movie starting to sound familiar yet? It should be. It should sound very much like #Alive, which I do believe is the first one out of these two movies. We then have him notice a neighbor from across the hall, across the way, across in an apartment opposite him. I don't really know what it's called, but he's looking out over at them, and he's talking to them through sign language and through writing signs on pieces of paper. He then decides to crawl about his ventilation system, break into a couple of houses, find some really cool, Tomb Raider, climbing axes, some picks, I don't exactly know what they're called, climbing aids, don't have a clue, bashes a couple of zombie skulls with them, finds food, finds walkie-talkie, sends it over to her building, and now they can chat. They talk to each other, they're in this kind of, relationship, situationship. I don't really know, they're sort of lovers now for whatever reason, because she gets angry at him for not communicating with her and talking with her before he goes and does some dangerous shit. But he breaks out into another room, and then this old man knocks him out and starts feeding him to his wife. He breaks out, he manages to get over to his partner's side, and they end up cuddling, breaking into a fresh apartment, and he isn't bit, she isn't bit, they live happily ever after. Now, the only difference from this movie, from the #Alive movie, is that they didn't escape to the roof and get rescued. They just end up in another apartment with plenty of food. So there is slight differences and slight changes in the story, but only at the end. The others is exactly the fucking same. They communicate with walkie-talkies. They talk to each other with things. He goes off and does his own thing, gets captured, gets fed. It is literally beat for beat exactly the same. And I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't like the fact that it is a direct copy of the other one. It feels really cheap, feels really uninspired, feels really uncreative, because fair enough, you can copy the premise. I wouldn't be upset if you copied the premise of two lovers finding themselves opposite side of the building, zombie apocalypse. That's a fine premise to base a film around, but it's the fact that he gets captured, fed to a wife, and how he also finds these Tomb Raider pickaxes under his neighbor's bed with also walkie-talkies. It feels too similar. It feels too the same. It is literally beat for beat, copy. It is literally copy and paste, changed up so like they don't know you copied my homework type shit, because there is very few minor details which get changed for this movie. They don't go down together and fight the zombies. One of them goes down to the other side. They don't both go down and fight together. Like, there is very slight changes which doesn't really do much. However, the main character I did think did look like Danny Motta. Not gonna lie, he kind of does look like Danny Motta. I'm waiting for him to sort of shout about Alex Brightman. Not gonna lie, I genuinely am waiting for him to shout about Alex Brightman and to complain about Blitzo and Stolas' love story. I don't know. I'm kind of waiting for that. But the acting is decent. Like, the acting's okay, music is okay, plot is, I don't know, it's kind of dry because it feels exactly the same as something that I watched before, and I didn't twig when looking at, like, the preview of this movie. I just put it on Amazon, and then as I watched it, I was like, I've seen this before. I swear I've seen this before. And then I'm looking, I'm like, no, I haven't watched this movie before. Where am I seeing? I've seen this, but I haven't seen this, if that makes sense. So I'm sat here for the entire movie thinking that I'm going insane because I think I've seen it, but I know I haven't seen it, because it's just the same movie, different font. Like, that's all this movie is, and I don't want to shit on this movie by saying it's an exact copy, when it is. Like, there's probably countless other YouTubers that have done that. I do want to give it credit for where credit is due, and there's not a lot of credit, because I don't think I enjoyed the original all too much, because it was, again, quite boring. You're in this apartment building, and there isn't much suspense being built. There isn't much mystery being built. There isn't much tension. It's all just kind of really easy and really chill throughout the whole movie. Like, with a horror outbreak, you'd expect zombies to be constantly being a threat, hunger constantly being a threat, but there is just convenience of rain and convenience of the zombies not really staying around for too long and getting bored and walking off. The poster makes it seem quite action-packed, with a helicopter, some zombies, a sort of toxic symbol, a crashed death civilization in the background. It does make it feel like some false advertising, because the poster doesn't match what actually goes on in the movie. Like, with the poster, I would expect him to be walking around outside in the city, you know, trying to find survival or trying to save himself, and it just isn't that. It's quite stale, because even though he is jacked and he is ripped and he does have the weapons, he isn't that confident in his abilities. And to be fair, I haven't fought zombies. I don't think I'd be that confident. I'm pretty sure I'd shit myself and I would be one of the first to die. Not gonna lie, I'm not gonna try and put myself on a pedestal here, but I don't know. I feel like he goes from being really unconfident to being the most confident motherfucker in the world, because he goes from, you know, being alone and about to off himself to being an absolute fucking unit and breaking into other people's houses to steal everything, you know? And I'm gonna be honest, like, the movie that this is, like, based on or ripping off isn't that great anyway. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't try and rip off something that is a little bit more enjoyable to watch, a little bit better. Like, this one, it isn't terrible, but it isn't brilliant. They try and make, like, fake character drama, and it's like, yes, fair enough, you haven't seen other humans in quite a while, you did think he was alone, but, like, are we serious right now? Like, you're not going to fall in love that quickly. You're not going to fall in love that instantaneously. I refuse to believe they instantly locked eyes and was like, right, that's it, we're together now. They never had a conversation like that. They had one conversation through paper, and it's like, right, cool, I love you. And she did seem like a little bit of a creep, because she'd been watching him before, using him as a little bit of a model to draw, and I think that's a little weird, a little freaky, a little bit, unnormal. You know, just not normal. That's weird. Why are you drawing him without him knowing? Normally, you ask permission before you draw somebody, because that's weird. I'm gonna be honest. He also manages to shave his beard at one point. It's like, how the fuck did you manage that? One minute it's there, next it's gone. And the beard is there to symbolize his like slow descent into insanity and his loss of hope and how bad things have gotten because he no longer cares about his appearance and how he looks. So he's just gonna let his beard grow. So it is weird how it just vanishes at one point. I could have blinked and missed the point where he shaved it, but I was genuinely looking up on my phone like where I've seen this movie before, because for like the good first half hour I was genuinely like going insane because I swear I'd seen it before, but then I was like, no, I haven't. And it's not a terrible movie, it's not a brilliant movie. I probably wouldn't watch it again. I've kind of already seen it twice now, so I wouldn't really watch it again. I think it sits at a solid like 5 out of 10, but I do want to knock a point off for it ripping on the other story, so like a 4 out of 10 I think this movie is, just because the character like connection isn't there. The characters don't really feel like they have chemistry. They're just kind of there, and it feels very forced as well. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say. So if you have seen this movie, let me know what you all think down in the comments below. And if you do have any other movies that you do want me to review, talk about, and sort of, you know, just even if it's like an anime or TV show, like just want me to review on the channel, just let me know down in the comments below, and I'll get on it as quickly as possible. So other than that, I hope you all enjoyed, and goodbye. The ending to that was so scuffed, and I am so sorry. I don't know. I had like a brain fart moment. I am extremely sorry.